we had committed to putting up a pavilion at Expo 92 in Seville, Spain. Later on, the Archbishop of Seville, Monsignor Carlos Amigo, now a cardinal, a cousin of King Carlos of Spain, had said to me, weeping, he said, my people need this message. But this was now several months before that. We were building the pavilion, La Pabellón de la Promesa. It was due to open the beginning of May, and this was about the beginning of March, 20 years ago, 21 years ago last month. And I left our apartment. Norma Jean and I had a little apartment about a block from where Christopher Columbus used to live. Same buildings. We used to walk past Christopher Columbus's apartment building where he lived while he sought the money for the Nina and the Pinta and the Santa Maria from Ferdinand and Isabel. So one morning I had decided I've got to call back home here and I've got to tell our people. Moira's husband, Richard Brown, would have been the one I would have called. He was at that time our chief financial officer. Got to call Richard and tell him, forget it. We just have to close it down here. The building in Burlington is going over cost. This building over in Spain here is under construction. We don't have the money moving forward. We've got to stop. We've got to just shut it down, the efforts in Spain. But on my way to the expo grounds, I walked through the square where about 1,500 people had been burnt at the stake. Over on the right-hand side was a museum where the instruments of torture, the rack and so on, were still there on display. And as I walked along, I was saying, Lord, when I get to our construction site, I have a telephone there. I'm going to call Richard. I'm going to tell him, shut it down. On the way across the square, I believe I heard again that still, small, yet powerful voice saying, David, look down. I looked down between the cobblestones that had been worn by centuries of carts rolling over and so on. And in between the stones was dust. And that voice said, there are still remnants, tiny little remnants from which a DNA could be extracted of those whose ashes are mingled with the dust that's packed around those cobblestones. And their ashes cry out to me for the word of God to be placed in the hands of the people once again. By the time I got to the other end of the square, I said, okay, I'm going to call Richard. But I'm going to say, Richard, I believe I've heard from God. And if this means the bankruptcy of the ministry in Canada, where we've heard the gospel again and again, so be it. We're not leaving Spain. We're not leaving Spain. Now, the board of directors, I always put myself in a position where I could be fired if that's what they decided to do. But the board of directors, Reverend Don Feltmate, our chairman at the time, were filled with faith, went along with us. The building was paid off, Spain was paid off, and over 53,000 first-time decisions for Christ were recorded.